All right, back on Rebel headquarters. We have a wonderfully unique debate for you guys tonight. Debating will be two Justice Democrats against each other. Already interesting. One is Alison Hartson, and she's in the studio. The other is Deedra Abboud. Now, she's on Skype. Hey, Deedra, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. How about you?
Good, good. I hope you're not too nervous about the debate. Now, why are they debating each other? Because Alison is running against Dianne Feinstein and Deedra is running against Kyrsten Sinema. Kyrsten Sinema is in Arizona and Deedra is a Senate candidate as is Sinema. And here in California, Alison is a Senate candidate against Feinstein. And tonight's topic is whose opponent is more conservative? And this is title fight, okay? Because they are both deeply conservative, as you're about to find out. So, Deedra, you're gonna go second. I wanna get Alison here to do her opening statement first. Tell us about yourself and Dianne Feinstein and set the table.
Dianne Feinstein is the epitome, there's my camera. Dianne Feinstein is the epitome of the kind of politician and corruption that we are absolutely fed up with. She does whatever is in her best interest, and her best interest is served by corporations and the wealthy elite, because that is what she is. I can give you just one example. I'm sure we'll go through many during this debate, but one example would be that in 1984, when she was mayor, she decided to put up the Confederate flag in order to appease the Dixiecrats who were coming into town because she was running to be the vice president. And when some black activists rightfully did not like it and took down the flag, she moved forward to prosecute them. She only backed off from prosecuting that person when the people protested enough. Why on earth would you have to protest something like that, especially in California? Then, when all of the political fervor around it died down, she went and put the Confederate flag back up. So, Dianne Feinstein is a political mastermind. And that is why I am here running and challenging her. So, you want me to say now who I am?
Yes.
Time? Okay. So my name is Alison Hartson. I am a former high school teacher. Most recently, I was a national director of a political organization whose sole mission is to get an amendment to the United States Constitution to end corruption in our government, to essentially be able to abolish what Dianne Feinstein is about. That's what I've done for the last 5 years. Led the charge to get measures passed through California, 5 states in total so far. We have state teams in almost all 50 states, and during my time as a high school teacher, I taught senior English, and I also designed and taught an intervention program for students who are at risk of not graduating high school in a low-income district serving predominantly first and second generation students from Mexico.
All right, good opening statement. You did not go over the time limit, and I will be an impartial moderator here, and I will enforce time limits. This is very serious. Deedra Abboud, now tell us about your opponent, Kyrsten Sinema, and yourself.
I'm Deedra Abboud. I'm running for US Senate in Arizona. I've been running since April of 2017 for Flake's seat. We did not know that Flake was not going to rerun for this seat until November, and I'm assuming that my opponent also heard a rumor that that was going to happen, and that's why she chose this race just before he announced that he wouldn't rerun. I'm gonna have to say that at least Dianne Feinstein's been consistent, because my opponent has first run as a Green, first run considerably progressive, and really told people that she was going to represent their values based on progressive values. Was a very big advocate of progressive values. And in the last few years, particularly when she got into Congress, she has completely gone to the other side of not even progressive at all. Completely saying and proud that she's a moderate, although the only people reaching across the aisle seem to be the Democrats, which is not in our favor, because we keep losing out to corporations and special interests. And my opponent also voted for so many, the Cates Law, which is basically supporting private prisons. And she actually, the Arizona Republic reported that she has more PAC and special interest money than the Republican opponent. And that's just this year and last year. So it's, my opponent, I think, is more of a chameleon than a actual conservative, which might be more concerning.
All right. And Deedra, just a little bit about yourself.
Other than I'm an attorney, I've been a social justice advocate for 15 years in Arizona, originally from Arkansas, moved to Arizona in '98. Fell in love with the state, fell in love with my husband, been fighting for the people all this time, and decided that I wanted to run for this office because there's lots of conversations we need to have about where we're going as a country, who we are. And also, I don't think that things like Medicare for all is a progressive issue. I think it's a moderate issue because people don't want to die.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I already like this debate. I'm already torn. In fact, I'm thinking of doing a poll at the end to add a little bit of extra pressure to you guys on who won. Let's go to the different topics here. Let's start out nice and broad. Alison, we'll start with you. Foreign policy. Tell us about Dianne Feinstein's positions on foreign policy, and then Deedra will tell us about Sinema's positions, and we'll find out who's more conservative.
So Dianne Feinstein voted for the Iraq War, and she was one of few Democrats actually who did so. In addition to that, right during the Iraq War, she awarded contracts, defense contracts to her husband, where they have made millions of dollars off of the lives that have been sacrificed during the Iraq War and all of the wars that have broken out since then. In addition to that, as a result of this conflict of interest, she was kicked off of a committee that she was on in the Senate because of this decision of hers.
Wow, what do you mean she was kicked off of a committee?
She had to be removed from this committee. They had her step down from the committee because of this conflict of interest.
Okay, all right, well that's a tough one to beat when your husband's a defense contractor and you voted for that war and then you gave him a contract. Okay, so let's see how Sinema does here. Deedra, go ahead.
My opponent was not in Congress when the Iraq War broke out. She was instead on the ground with me at the anti-war protests, speaking against it and organizing all of the rallies against the war against Iraq. She voted against Iran and the disarmament and has spoken out against that many times. She also voted for more scrutiny for refugees, which is already the most scrutinized immigrants that come to the United States.
Okay, all right, compelling case, I got you. Let's move on to healthcare. Deedra, let's start with you. What's Sinema's positions on healthcare?
She wants to fix the ACA and never talks about healthcare for all or Medicare for all. She believes that, well, basically we don't know what she believes because the only thing that she says is that we should fix the ACA.
Okay, so not for Medicare for all, nebulous, fix the ACA. All right, Alison, what's Feinstein's position?
Well, Feinstein actually has talked about Medicare for all, and she copy pastes Republican talking points, mentioned at a town hall just last year about how it's a government takeover, and so therefore she can't quite get on board just yet.
A government takeover of healthcare.
Which is exactly what you'll hear Fox News talking about.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, this is giving you a sense of where these candidates stand. And of course, by the way, these are both the picks of the Democratic establishment to represent progressives. Okay, let's stay with you, Alison. Let's go to money and politics. That's your favorite issue. How is Feinstein in that category?
Well, her top contributors include defense contractors. It includes pharmaceutical companies, the real estate industry. But one gem I really want to point out is that there is a political action committee that gives money to gives money in the tunes of tens of thousands of dollars. It adds up to hundreds of thousands. Their top two recipients, and they spread it out mostly amongst Republicans, also Democrats. Their top two recipients are a Republican committee and Dianne Feinstein. Now, in addition to that, their top 6 candidates or or I should say representatives that they contribute to. Their top 6, the 5 of them are Republicans, and Diane's the only Democrat. In addition to that, even more exciting to learn is that they've given her, in just this period alone, over $40,000. The next level down for the top Republican they've given to, $10,800. So they've given Dianne Feinstein about 4 times more, and then next, a Republican committee.
Okay, all right, I hear you. That doesn't sound particularly good record. All right, let's go to Sinema's record. Is she fighting to get money out of politics?
Not at all. She claims to, or actually she does have $5 million, and I think anybody with $5 million should be able to be the first one to say that they're not going to take special interest, PAC, or corporate money. But she's not. Instead, her biggest contributors for PAC and special interest money is the securities and investment and the insurance and financial industries. That's $400,000 and $76,000 since just this year, 2018. She also had a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce, which was reported in the New Times, where she assured the Chamber of Commerce that she was standing behind the banks and she was going to really work on deregulation, particularly the Dodd-Franks and the Sarbanes-Oxley, to make them not work as hard against the banks.
Oh no, you don't want to work that hard against banks. No, if you're a Democrat, you just make sure the banks are comfortable. Okay, all right, that does not seem like a good record for either one of them. By the way, it is kind of hard to decide. All right, so let's stay with you, Deedra. How about supporting Trump? So it's kind of a broader category. How does Sinema do this? Is she part of the resistance fighting Trump?
She has been quoted as saying something very much along the lines of, Trump is not an issue in Arizona.
Okay, all right, interesting. Do you know what her voting record is with Trump?
I believe it's like 56% with Trump.
With Trump?
With Trump.
But wait, you're in a Democratic primary, right?
We are.
You're in a Democratic primary. Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Okay, all right.
The confusion's real.
Okay, all right. Well, Alison Hartson, that's going to be tough to beat. Feinstein on Trump.
She has said that we need to give him time to be a good president, that we just need to be patient with him. He'll come around, and has voted for quite a few of his nominees.
Okay, a little bit of resistance, but enough resistance that keep an open mind. I mean, later we might not resist. Yeah. Okay, of course, depending on who's in the majority, right? Now that they're in the minority, yeah, a little bit of resistance, sure. All right, anyway, I'm a neutral moderator, at least neutral between you guys. So let's go to education, another one of your favorites, Alison. So Dianne Feinstein, anything on education?
Not really anything on education, actually. She hasn't done anything to champion moving forward on College for All and making sure that we address the massive student debt that has been accruing over the last several decades while she's been in office. And in fact, one of her top contributors is the university system. And as a result, we don't see her taking any action.
Oh, so she's not for College for All, but she has 80 million and her husband has $1 billion, right? As far as we know.
Right.
So would they need College for All for their kids and grandkids?
Right,
and
exactly. Yep, no, not quite.
Oh, they wouldn't?
Yeah, no, I think they're good.
Okay, I got you. All right, Deedra Abboud, how about Sinema? She was once a progressive, College for All, equality of opportunity for all folks in Arizona, or no?
We're going to say we don't know, because if you look at her US Senate website, it has no information other than she's a nice person. And if you go to her congressional website, then it's very little information, mainly what she has done, rather than what she wants to do. And definitely anything that is across the board, like Medicare for all and university education for all, doesn't fit into that. Even though, by the way, Arizona Constitution actually says that higher education has to be as close to free as possible.
Okay, Constitution, who's gonna read that? Okay, I'm going to stay with you. How about the wall? Deedra, any comments about fighting the wall from Kyrsten Sinema?
She has not supported the wall. I know that in private meetings where you pay $50 to have coffee with her, that she basically says she's opposed to the wall, but she's also voted for a couple of bills that included wall funding. So says she's against it privately, but she doesn't really talk about it publicly, other than she has made a couple of comments that instead of having a wall, we could have some technology.
Okay, if you vote to fund a wall, I got news for you, you're for the wall. Okay, so Alison, how about Feinstein on the wall?
Well, Feinstein has just been terrible on immigration all around. There is, relatively recently, she has talked about how she has aligned immigrants or undocumented Americans with being criminals. Sound familiar? Right? That's exactly what Trump is doing in order to convince people that we need this wall, this racist wall. So she hasn't taken a stance on that. She did not stand up for DACA recipients specifically in this last year, all the way up to December, and then all of a sudden decided to switch her vote and act like she's standing up and fighting for our undocumented children in January, as soon as this race, she was starting to feel some heat in 2018.
So let's pick up the pace a little bit. Alison, I'm going to stay with you, death penalty.
Death penalty, she supports the death penalty.
She just supports it.
Yeah, she has fought to have people prosecuted and move forward with the death penalty.
To execute people.
Yeah.
You're in a Democratic primary,
yep.
right? Okay, just want to be clear. All right, Deedra, I don't know Kyrsten Sinema's position on that.
Publicly, she's opposed to it, but we don't know for sure because there's never been a vote that she's participated in that really solidifies that position.
I got you.
Although I do want to point out that she recently did a social media meme post that targeted the Latino community that said in Spanish that she supported law enforcement. So
wow.
Little tone deaf.
Okay, she bothered to do it in Spanish just to rub it in a little bit? Okay, all right, well that seems clear. All right, how about privacy rights and civil rights overall? Deedra, let's stay with you.
She actually in 2015 voted against protecting net neutrality, and whenever she has been asked about how she feels on some of these privacy issues, she has pointed out that she's going after Equifax in their inability to control the information and secure the information that has been penetrated and potentially hurt people, but we haven't seen any real traction. Just basically that's used as a pivot to get away from the financial industry questions.
I'm not kidding. I really am going back and forth on who's more conservative. We're going to do the poll. Okay, we'll put it up after this video so you can vote on it. We'll put the link down below, tytnetwork.com/debate. Okay, who's won the debate? Who's more conservative? But we're not done yet, and we'll also, of course, have links for Alison's campaign and Deedra's campaign down below too. Always click on the links below. All right, Alison, privacy rights for
Dianne Feinstein has voted for the Patriot Act every single time, except for when it was being done to her. And it's really important to know that when it was being done to her and Congress in general, she fought like crazy against it. You can find this online. She knows how to fight and to champion legislation and policy when she wants to, when it serves her.
When the intelligence community spied in on the Senate, she fought, but on the Patriot Act, when spying on us,
voted for it every single time. Wow. Every single time it's come up.
Okay. I thought Sinema had her beat on that one, but I don't know again. Okay, all right, last one, guys. Criminal justice reform. Deedra, what's Sinema's position, if any, on that?
Well, I would say that technically she wants criminal justice reform, as she should, because she used to work in immigration, particularly in criminal immigration. So that seems like it would be a great thing, except that she has received a lot of PAC money from private prisons, from that industry. And she voted for Kate's Law, which is nothing but enhanced sentencing for people who are undocumented. So someone who would normally be convicted of a crime and spend 3 months to 3 years in jail now gets to spend 10 to 15 years in jail at our expense before they're deported.
Taking money from private prisons. Over to you, Alison.
Speaking of, Dianne Feinstein also takes money from private prisons, but she has also led the charge against legalizing marijuana as recently as 2010. And we know how that contributes to our exploding prison population and how that has particularly targeted our communities of color since Jim Crow, going back to the 60s. So she's very conservative on that as well.
But to be fair, she's from California. California didn't legalize medical or recreational marijuana, did they?
But we did.
Oh, they did?
But we did, yes.
Oh, they did, but their representative, their big senator, is not in favor of what the people of California want.
No, she's not. Okay. But she gets to do what she wants because she's the queen of.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear on that. All right, let's go to closing statements. So, Deedra, you're up first. Give us your conclusion. Now, remember, a lot's on the line here. People are going to vote. tytnetwork.com/debate. Okay, who's more conservative, Kyrsten Sinema or Dianne Feinstein? So, closing statements on why Sinema is more conservative.
She's more conservative because she wasn't conservative and now she's conservative. So that's more of a chameleon. And I think that that's more concerning because we should be able to trust what comes out of the mouths of the people who are saying they want to represent us. And my opponent is deliberately avoiding all Democratic forums in Arizona and only having private meetings and private coffees and fundraising around that without meeting with the normal people. So I would say her and all of her messaging is targeting the conservative Arizonans. She's not speaking to the base at all. She's either taking them for granted or doesn't care if she gets their vote or not. So that's pretty conservative, pretty chameleon, pretty concerning. We would like her to get back into the boat of the Democratic Party and be a champion for the Democratic Party and for what's better for our state and country instead of what's better for her to continue to ratchet up in her career moves.
All right, Alison Hartson, closing statements.
Deedra, I really like you, but I have to say that Dianne Feinstein also is a chameleon. She also does exactly what she needs to maintain her power, to maintain her money, to maintain her wealth, and to maintain her control over all of us. And she benefits from these decisions, and she is willing to say and do whatever she thinks is going to work. And she, I am convinced, thinks we are dumb enough to buy it. I could go on right now, on and on about a number of examples, but I will just leave you with this. At least you live in Arizona. It's a purple state. California is arguably one of the most liberal states, or the most liberal state in the entire country. And we have a Republican serving as our senator. She has to be awarded the supreme queen of the corporate Democrats.
Damn. Okay, so this has been a fun debate. I want to show you guys the links for both Alison Hartson and Deedra Abboud. Make sure that you guys are participating. If you would like progressives as your representatives rather than people who serve corporations, go to AlisonHartson.com or jdems.us/Alison. There's lots of ways to get involved, and the volunteer link is AlisonHartson.com/now, and that'll be all down below in the description box on YouTube and comment section on Facebook. And Deedra's website is Deedra2018.com, and you see the donation and volunteer links there as well. Get in the fight for the people who are going to represent you. And if you didn't know, now you know. These two Democrats that they are running against are Democrats in name only. They are incredibly, weirdly conservative. And I know that Washington thinks that should be rewarded. My guess is that progressive voters think otherwise. And finally, the link will be below, I'm not kidding, tytnetwork.com/debate. Who is more conservative, Dianne Feinstein or Kyrsten Sinema? You guys both did an outstanding job. And to be fair, you all had a lot of material to work with.
Are you going to vote, Cenk?
I will vote. I haven't made up my mind yet. There were a couple of devastating facts, and we didn't even get to the tax cuts in your devastating ad that you put out yesterday.
Yeah.
So
check out the ad. Go to my Facebook or my Twitter.
All right, we'll put the link down below. Yeah. Check out Alison's hard-hitting ad against Feinstein. All right, thank you, Deedra Abboud. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Alison.
I hope to work with you in DC, Deedra.
Yes, let's get there.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
All right, thank you for watching, guys.